All right. Welcome, everybody, to our Brown webinar today. We're excited to have some Brown faculty members with us today from our Master of Public Health program. And so we're so glad to have you with us. My name is Sparky Mortimer, and I'll be moderating our conversation today. So what is it that we're here to talk about? As I mentioned, we've got some Brown MPH faculty with us today. We're so grateful that they took time out of their busy schedules to join us today to talk a little bit more about the online MPH program. And we'll spend a good amount of time both in the question that we prepared for them, as well as some other things that we're going to talk about what makes Brown's Online Master of Public Health unique. You'll see at the bottom of your screen there that there is an application deadline coming up, the final application deadline for spring 2024 cohort. Those are classes starting in January of 24. That final application deadline is October 15th, so just about a month away. And so we'll go through a quick application checklist, make sure that things are buttoned up, ready for you to get started. And then our faculty will answer your questions live. We do have a Q&A portion at the end, so feel free at any time to put in your questions using the Q&A tool. Just tap or click that button on your screen, type in a question. We'll be sure to address them at the end. We may even get a chance to address some via typing as we go along, but use that Q&A function so that we can get your questions answered. So let's go ahead and meet our faculty members that we and others who we have joining us today. So let's just start in this order. So Monica, if you could start us off, please give us a brief introduction of yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Sparky. My name is Monica Doshi. I am an assistant professor at Brown, and I teach the interventions course and the evaluation course on the online program. And I'm excited to be here and looking forward to interacting.
All right. Thanks, Monica. Mike, how about you next?
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Harvey. I teach the Comparative Healthcare Systems course and a course called Health Policy and Systems, where we do a lot of kind of policy analysis. I'm also an assistant professor in the Department of Health Services Policy and Practice, and I'm really looking forward to engaging with you all.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. It looks like we're still waiting for Alex. I know she's busy, and so we'll hopefully get her here in a second. But Hannah, you're here. Welcome, Hannah. Introduce yourself, if you would, please.
Thank you, Sparky. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Zabrowski. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Epidemiology. In the online program, I teach the introductory course on epidemiology. So it's called Using Epidemiology to Make Public Health Decisions. And I'll also be teaching a course on the integrated learning experience too. And my general research interests are in mental health.
Right. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Hannah. And so we do also have other presenters here with us today, and we'll start with Jen, because Jen, it's nice because you kind of bridge the gap. You're a program director, but you also teach in the program too. So tell us a little bit more about that dual role that you have.
Hi, everybody. Jen Nazarino. I am the inaugural academic director for the online MPH program. Also have an associate dean position for academic innovation for the university. But I particularly am very dedicated to this program, and I really excited to teach my course, which is Structural and Social Determinants of Health. My research particularly looks at immigrant populations, particularly immigrant health care workers, particularly Filipina immigrant nurses. So that's me.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much, Jen. All right, Matt, please introduce yourself to the group.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Matt Wallace. I do not teach. I am not a professor. I kind of just wandered off the street one day and refused to leave. And so now I'm here at Brown, and I feel very lucky because this is a very unique place, and this is a very unique program. You're going to learn all about that coming up. We have the best faculty in the world. I'm not even saying that with any bit of hyperbole, and you're going to find that out for yourself today. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to answering all your questions.
All righty. Thanks so much, Matt. And Kim, one of our enrollment coaches, joining us today. So Kim, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what your enrollment coach role is.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Yes, my name's Kim Pulaski. I am one of 3 enrollment coaches for this particular program here at Brown, the online MPH. I've been in higher education actually for about 14, 15 years at this point. By far, my favorite program to work with and favorite faculty and director to work with. Nudge, nudge, Jen. But our role here as enrollment coaches is really just to give you some guidance, to explain what the program's about, to be able to go through the application process. We kind of hold you accountable as you go through that, and we're here for you throughout the entire process.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Kim. And again, thanks to all of our faculty and Brown staff who are joining us today. So let's get to know these folks a little bit more. Again, grateful for our faculty members coming and spending some time with us today. So I think first and foremost, let's talk about what your journey to get to where you are now in terms of what in your academic, professional, and personal lives has kind of led you to this moment in terms of being here at Brown, being associated with this program. Just kind of share a little bit more about your background and what's put you in the position that you're in. So Monica, I know we only have you for a limited amount of time, so how about we start with you with this question first? What is it? What's the combination of factors that's brought you to where you are today?
Sure. Thanks, Sparky. Yes. I definitely did not have a very straight or direct trajectory into public health. I sort of fell into public health by responding to a call for development work in India. And that led me to work with the Gates Foundation on a pretty large HIV intervention that spans 6 states in India. And I learned public health before in the field through practice, before going back to school and getting my master's in public health. And then following that, I started doing consulting work in public health. 2011, I founded my own public health consulting firm, and I have consulted pretty much in Asia and Africa, doing global health work, intervention, research, evaluation work, as well as empirical research. So spanning multiple countries on those 2 continents particularly, which led me to realize a few things. I definitely had a very good sense of what I knew, and I had a very, very good sense of what I didn't know and what I wanted to learn more about, which led me to apply to a doctoral program in public health. And so I went to the University of Michigan to do that. And following that, I joined Brown. So between my fellowship at the Gates Foundation and going back to school, I think I was in the field for about 20 years doing public health work. And then I've sort of shifted in that process from doing international global work to a little bit more domestic. And I am actually going to sort of continue, obviously, with being at Brown, teaching at Brown. My research will go back to more global, and we'll start to get into more consulting work as well. So that, in a nutshell, has been my trajectory into public health.
Right, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's see, Jen, you're next up on the slide. So I guess same question for you. What's led you to this moment and this place and this program?
Yeah, so I actually was a clinical social worker for a couple of years. About 5 years, I practiced in the field where I worked particularly with when I worked in a hospital in the UK, and I worked with migrants and refugees while I was out there. And then the US, I worked in one of the biggest county hospitals and worked with oncology patients. And so from there, I really thought about what are the root causes for why we're seeing disproportionate numbers of vulnerable populations in these spaces. And so I went back for my PhD and took courses in public health and med soc and med anthro and public health or public policy. And it really just rounded out how I really wanted to think through what I wanted to do as a professor, what type of program that I wanted to be part of. And the School of Public Health at Brown is very interdisciplinary and really respected my background in bringing in the social work lens as well as a medical social lens to the work in public health. And so I was a postdoc at Brown, and then I was elated to become a faculty member at Brown University. I now have been a faculty member for about 7 years, and I'm just really excited this program has started. This program is about 2 years old now, And we are very dedicated to bringing in students that also have an interdisciplinary background, also bring just different perspectives and walks of life to this program. And so that's why I decided to become the academic director of the program.
All right. Thanks so much, Jen. Appreciate your history there. All right, Mike, same question for you. What's led you to here to Brown and to this program specifically?
Sure. Yeah. So I was working for some years in kind of medical devices with kind of small startups and kind of read more in the social sciences, more in public health, and kind of was challenged to take more seriously issues related to kind of health equity and kind of the disparities we see within society when it comes to population level health outcomes. So I went to do a master's in public health degree at Penn. I was in the Philadelphia area at the time, and got a taste of what public health was like from more kind of dissimilar to Monica in a sense, where I kind of started this journey in university and realized that I wanted to get more training when it came to research and teaching. So after spending a few years in Central America, in Guatemala and Honduras, working in the healthcare systems there, I came back and did a doctorate in public health at Berkeley, and have taught in a few different institutions. And a lot of my life has been within kind of public health higher education for the last few years. And I was really excited to to learn about this relatively new program at Brown, where we're bringing together so many different perspectives and people with different backgrounds and creating this kind of really compelling curriculum for students. So I was really excited to join the team over the last few years, and yeah, that's really kind of how Brown hooked me, and I've been really enjoying my time here and getting to know the amazing faculty and just the awesome students who have joined the program over the past year or so.
That is great. Thanks so much, Mike. All right, Hannah, same question for you. What's brought you to this moment in time in this program?
Yeah, so my sort of public health story is that I've always been interested in mental health, always been interested in why some people develop mental illness, some people don't. In college, I thought the best way to understand that was to study the brain. So I was a neuroscience major. I had never heard of public health at all. And even after college, I worked for about 2 years in a mental hospital, working with psychiatric patients. And that's really when I had a revelation that I did not want to spend my career focused on individual patients, working only with one patient at a time, treating them. And I sort of realized that, some patients that just treatment was almost too late, and that maybe it'd be more useful to go work a little further upstream and to work in prevention, work more bigger picture, looking at population health. So that is what initially drew me into getting a master's of public health. When I entered my MPH program, I had never even heard of epidemiology. This is before the pandemic, so no one knew what epidemiologists were back in the day. And really something just clicked with me in my very first class, taking epidemiology. I just really loved how I could apply my substantive interest in mental health to data analysis and research. And so that led me to pursue a PhD in epidemiology, which I did at Brown. I graduated in 2020, so right in April 2020, so right during the beginning of COVID. And I was a postdoc at Harvard Medical School for 2 years after that. And I was really thrilled to come back to Brown. I loved being a student there, and I love working there as faculty. And I've really enjoyed teaching in the online program so far. We've only had one semester in the online program so far for teaching epidemiology, but it's really great to see students coming from all sorts of different kinds of backgrounds thriving there.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty reflective of the faculty group that we have here. So many different backgrounds and kind of paths that you all took, and obviously through that course you came to really develop these passions that are behind the courses that you teach. And so that's the next question that I have is, like, as you progressed onto this journey, and now you're in a spot where you're teaching these classes. What is it about these topics that you teach that just livens up your passion and gets you so excited to want to share this and teach this to other folks? So let's go in that same order again. Monica, if we could have you start out, what is it, what drives the passion behind the courses and the subjects that you teach here in the Brown Online Master of Public Health?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I teach interventions, so interventions of health promotion, so development of health promotion programs to intervene, hopefully primary interventions, so looking really at prevention, which has been a lot of my work in the very beginning of my career, doing a lot of HIV prevention work with commercial sex workers, male, female, and transgender on those two continents. And so a lot of practice-based sort of teaching is what happens in my classroom. I bring in a lot of case studies from my own work and from the work of others to sort of bring to life, if you will, what we're learning in terms of content. You know, whenever we think about health promotion programs and developing them, I think it's really important also to think about whether or not they're effective and whether or not they can be scaled up or adapted. And that's where evaluation comes into place. So in my career, I have consulted on a lot of evaluation projects, again, on those two continents. And again, bringing in that practice-based work into the classroom to really think about where do we pinpoint our limited resources that we often have to deal with when it comes to public health, and how do we maximize our return on that. And so thinking through developing an evaluation study for any sort of intervention, whether it be primary, secondary, tertiary. So again, it's really just bringing in a lot of that practice-based knowledge. One of the things that I've had the privilege to do is work with interdisciplinary teams on the projects that I've consulted on. And so what often happens is they join us in the classroom as guest speakers, or or make connections with the students outside of that, which I think is another great way of expanding reach and network when it comes to our students and the ability to do that. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, Jen, you mentioned, Jen, in kind of the answer to the last question about the things that you were seeing and kind of how that drive for change was something that was really, that you were really passionate about. So what else would you have to say about those topics and issues that you're passionate about and how that's reflected in your teaching?
Yeah, so I teach, so thanks, Sparky. So I teach social determinants of health. And so beyond looking at healthcare systems and our access to healthcare services, I look at issues around access to education, where you live, what type of healthy foods are available to you, your environment, how that all plays a role in your health and well-being. I also am very passionate about bringing in articles that are written by women, minorities, and immigrants, just so that you also can see their experiences and read about, and read about maybe yourself in my course. I'm very passionate about making sure that you see yourself in my lectures, in the syllabus, and in the speakers that we bring into the speakers that I bring into my coursework, because I think historically those stories weren't told in public health. Historically, we didn't look at systemic issues. We often looked at the downstream effects and used that as a determinant for why someone got sick or, God forbid, died, right, prematurely. And I really am passionate about making sure that we think about things more systemically. We bring in theoretical frameworks from the social sciences, such as intersectionality, structural racism, theories that focus on transnational feminist theory, those type of frameworks that are really important when we think about people's health and well-being individually and both community as well as in terms of population health. So that's what my course is focused on and why I teach what I teach.
Yeah, fantastic, and thanks so much for your perspective. All right, Mike, same question for you. What drives the passion behind the subjects that you teach here in Brown and the MPH?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question, and maybe good to follow on some of Jen's words in terms of not overinflating the role of healthcare systems to health outcomes. As you mentioned, Jen, that we need to be attentive to social determinants of health and harmful social forces that act on population health outcomes independent of access to healthcare. At the same time, I'm teaching this course in comparative healthcare systems this semester and as part of the online program. And I've met people, I've known people who have been, turned away from life-saving care because they happen to live in a country that relies very heavily on, say, out-of-pocket payment to finance healthcare services. So you find yourself in a place where if you have access to resources, whether your own or your family's resources, you can access the care you need. And for many others, depending on the economic resources available within a country, they are denied that care. And so, comparing healthcare systems can feel kind of technical and bloodless, but I think about the people who I've known who have suffered because they couldn't get access to the care that they needed because care wasn't made available to them, even if it was a very treatable condition, and people who have died very prematurely as a result. So I try not to lose that kind of human element when in that kind of justice angle and that equity angle when thinking about kind of the technical details of healthcare systems that can kind of feel boring or abstract. It's important to note that there are people seeking care within these systems, and their health rises or falls based on how these systems are organized, and whether they're organized equitably or inequitably.
Yeah, that's great, Michael. A lot of intersections, obviously, between public health and so many other things in our society. So thank you for that. All right, Hannah, so how do you go from someone who epidemiology is not even on your radar to now you're at a point where you're passionate about it, that you want to be able to teach it to other people? What is it that makes that passion possible?
Yeah, I think part of it comes from just my personal, I love working with data. I love using data to answer public health questions. And so that's something that I love teaching to introductory students, is just how to think critically about studies and data that they are working with. Especially today, it's an age of a lot of misinformation, disinformation out there. Being able to think critically, I think, is a great skill to practice. And, we see studies all the time in the news or wherever. And I think I'm really passionate about helping students be able to look at studies, information on their own and determine their own thoughts about whether they think it's validity, what their own risks are, et cetera. And to be able to communicate public health knowledge effectively too.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Hannah. So obviously it's clear that there's a lot of passion behind the things that you do as it comes to public health. Although I think everyone here would admit, we're not all public health automatons. We do have lives outside of, what we do at Brown. And so this is a bit of a humanizing type question. What's your guilty pleasure? What is it outside? Okay, classes are done, for the day, graded everything that needs to be graded. Okay, I get some unwind time. What's that guilty pleasure? What's that one thing that helps? Oh, okay. Just kind of take a load off with everything else that we have going on. So, Monica, I know we've only got you about 5 more minutes, so I'll start with you on this one.
Thanks, Sparky. Guilty pleasures. Let's see. I have more recently got into baking, and I guess there is there's absolutely pleasure associated with the activity of baking for me. The guilt, I think, comes in just because I end up eating everything that I bake. And so that can be problematic over time. What else? I like to write. So I love writing in terms of academic writing, but I actually also love to write in a creative way. And so prose and poetry. And so that is where I like to spend my time when I can find some time. And then coffee is another, coffee with friends. Really enjoy doing that. A good cup of coffee in a nice cafe with lovely conversation I'll take that any day of the week.
There you go.
So
There
yeah.
you go. Now, how often do the coffee and the baking mix? You know, you got some coffee and then something that you just fresh baked to go with it. I imagine those two probably go together pretty
They
well.
absolutely do. Yeah. And tea is a good companion for baked goods too.
There you go.
So yeah.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Well, Monica, I know you've got to go at the bottom of the hour, but thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks for the opportunity for us to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you so much. Goodbye,
All
everyone.
righty. Take care. All right, Jen. Guilty pleasure. What is it for you?
So my answer is not as sophisticated as Monica's. I will, like she loves to, I write as well, obviously. I do research, but when I put my little two girls to bed, I have two kids, I am on Netflix and I am watching shows and I am binging with a a nice glass of wine with my husband. And maybe sometimes he goes to bed and I'm still watching till about 2, 3 in the morning. I just cannot, I get into it, and like the guilty pleasure of like, okay, maybe one more show, one more like of this series. And then all of a sudden I get caught up in it. I can't I won't share the shows I do watch just because, but in general, I think it's Netflix, it's HBO. It's just that silent time after everyone goes to bed. I just love that time to myself, or just share with my husband, and yeah, just glass of wine, good TV. And yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
All right. Okay. So you won't say titles, and I'll respect that, but is there a particular genre or type of show that you're particularly drawn to?
I mean, to be quite honest, like I mean, romantic comedies I love, or just comedies. I mean, we in public health, we see public health challenges, we research public health challenges every day, and we work with our students. We're very dedicated to our students, and we see what they go through as well. And so sometimes just like turning off for a little bit and just like watching a show that just makes just brings it more lighthearted, perspective. Yeah, just bringing some lighthearted comedy is something that I tend to gravitate to at night.
It's great. So it's always a good time for a laugh. So I understand that. Great. All right, Mike. How about you? I see you've got a pretty extensive library behind you. I don't know if that feeds into that guilty pleasure or not.
Yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to say reading's a guilty pleasure for faculty, but I do like reading. I probably the best thing to my kids have a Nintendo Switch, and they like to play video games. So I'll play with them. They enjoy playing together. And I feel a little less bad about them playing video games if I'm playing it with them. So, we play like Mario Kart, and for those who are familiar, Zelda, Mario Kart, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've got a Switch at home too, and trying to pry it away from my 13-year-old so that the rest of us can play.
Yeah,
I've definitely been there. I understand that. All right, Hannah, how about you? What's that guilty pleasure outside of work time for you?
Yeah, I honestly don't feel like I have any like guilty pleasures. I have a lot of pleasures, but I definitely don't feel guilty about any of them. I very similarly to Jen, like after a long day, I just like to just have a glass of wine, watch series on Netflix. My partner and I are really into Only Murders in the Building right now, and a few other shows where we love going back. We're also going through Modern Family, like a goodie but an oldie. We just love that show so much, and they're nice, like 20-minute episodes. So we've been like really watching that and having a great time. We've been playing a lot of board games like Azul. And I'll say my other, like, again, not a guilty pleasure, but just to get to know me, I'm a runner, so I ran in college. I trained for marathons. I got injured in the spring, was supposed to do the Boston Marathon, but hopefully be up and doing another marathon some other time. And then my last like main hobby is right here in my lap, my little Shih Tzu. He doesn't go too far away from me. He's very needy, so he sometimes will just sit here. And I have another geriatric dog who can no longer make it up the stairs, but just playing with my two dogs, watching the TV and running. I'd say those are my main hobbies, like outside of work. And reading.
That's impressive. I didn't even know he was there. He's been so quiet and respectful the whole time. Or you're a good strategic muter. Either way. So
yeah, he's tired, but
yeah. Fantastic. Well, we've got a little bit of a sense of what makes our faculty here at Brown's Online MPH unique. And so let's talk a little bit more about the program. So Jen, I think you're kind of starting us off in terms of, how do these unique faculty and their unique perspectives, how does that contribute to the overall uniqueness of this program and just what makes it such a great program for this moment?
Sure, thanks, Sparky. So case-based learning, we definitely are very intentional about bringing public health challenges, case studies that really focus on not just like thinking through the problem, but actual solutions, right? And then really bringing it to the students and faculty to have those like really important discussions during our sync sessions. And also during your in discussion board. So for example, Michael Harvey has a case study that looks at the inequitable distribution of vaccines across the world when COVID-19 hit. And so I have also am using that case study in my own class just to really think about what systems were in place, what are the inequitable issues that we're facing between low, middle, and wealthy countries, and having those discussions in my course. So we definitely try to thread the case studies throughout the courses. 100% online, asynchronous courses provide you with that kind of flexibility. We've really attracted students that need that flexibility, can't move to a brick and mortar campus, can't leave their family and their full-time job. And so this really gives them a high touch program where you meet with faculty every week, but it's all asynchronous in terms of the coursework and the content, but you get to also meet with us weekly. You have that option to have faculty time with us once a week. So yeah, what I mentioned, the optional synchronous sessions. Some of you can't make those synchronous sessions just because you are working full time. So we make sure those are recorded as well for you to have access to them when you have that time later in the evening. Curriculum that prepares you for leadership. So I think that is something very unique about our program. So many of you may know that our Dean Ashish Jha was the COVID-19 coordinator for Washington, for the White House, and was at Washington, D.C. for 2 years and worked with President Biden. And so he really has come back and really focused on how do we build leadership, new leaders in public health. So we teach 2 leadership courses as well as communication. We teach a communications course in our program just because it's so integral. We can do all the research and all the surveys, but if we cannot communicate our findings in a way where the general public understand what we are trying to say about a certain public health challenge, then it's, what is the purpose, right? We really want to make sure that we can translate research and communicate to the general public about the various public health challenges we're facing today. Small class sizes. So we do have courses where there's 30 to 40 students, all the way to 80 to 90 students. In courses where there are more than 60 students, there are 2 faculty members in that course. So we do really try and are very cognizant of the ratio of student to faculty. I do believe we have a competitive price compared to our other IVs and other competitors. We do offer also, though, I just want to make sure you all know, we also offer merit-based scholarships because $60,000 is still a lot. I understand that. And so we have really made it a point to offer merit-based scholarships to our students.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, lots about what makes this program unique. And ultimately, it is about the students. It is about the students and the unique perspectives that they bring in. And this is a program that can help unleash those in terms of the types of case studies that they go after and what they ultimately want to do. Program both in a demographic sense and also where the students are coming from, that it is truly a global program. So what else would you have to share about what's here and then on the next slide that we have?
Sure. So we are very much focused in making sure that our program, our students represent, the population of this country, right, of this world. And so we really are focused on diversity in all different ways. So prior to the SCOTUS ruling, we did collect data on race and ethnicity. So 52% of our students, this is for, let me just remind everyone or let you all know, this is based on our fall 2022 student cohort. So in that particular cohort, we had 52 students that were reported they were of a student of color. 34% of them reported that they were part of a historically underrepresented group. In terms of ages, we have students that range from the early 20s all the way to being 60 or older. So again, that diversity in age group. 78% of our students are female, US citizens. We have a few military students, and we really encourage military people with military backgrounds to also apply to our online MPH. I'm really proud to say that we've offered 72% of our students a merit-based scholarship, and that can range from 33%, 50% to 100% scholarships. First-generation students, I'm a first-generation grad student myself. Another proud number, we're really trying to create accessibility through this program, and the online modality really lends itself to being much more flexible and really accessible. I think having junior college is actually a strength. I think you having gone to junior college, went on to a 4-year university, then gone on to apply at Brown, I think is a strength. And so I really want to showcase that 20% of our students do have a junior college background, years of experience. In order to qualify to be part of our online MPH program, you do have to have at least 2 years of work experience. It's just because the conversations, the discussions in the synchronous sessions, in the discussion boards, it just lends itself to folks that have been out in the field for a bit, or have worked professionally, and not just in public health. So I just want to make sure people know that we're not just looking for folks that have a public health background. We have folks in the startup world, we have clinicians, we have psychologists, we have attorneys in our programs, people from the military. So again, really developing a program focused on a much more interdisciplinary group of students. And the mean GPA is 3.45.
All right. Excellent. And so again, we talk about how important that this is a global program, and that we're solving global issues, and that's reflected in the student body that we have, that this isn't just a US-based program.
Yes. So to remind everyone, we are relatively a new program. We've run courses for over a year now, but we've started about 2 years ago, just because we had to definitely develop the program and make sure that everything, we had the staff and the faculty before we launched. So we were focused on not just in domestic students, but also bringing students from other parts of the world. So in addition to this data, I just wanted to share that we have students from 30 different states in our country at this moment. And also in terms of international students, we have students from South Africa, Myanmar, Canada, and Ukraine. We also have a student from France, as well as Ghana. So we are attracting more and more global students from other parts of the world beyond the US.
All right. Fantastic. Jen, you've had lots of great info. I'm going to give you a little break so you have time to catch your breath. And so this is where I turn it over to you, Kim, because like we said, that final application deadline for spring 2024 is coming up on October 15th. And so if you could just give us a refresher on what students need to do in order to make sure that that application is ready and set to go by that October 15th deadline.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as you can tell from the slide, you need your bachelor's degree, right? That has to be conferred. And we've been talking to a lot of people lately who are in their senior year of their bachelor's degree. So we're looking ahead at, future dates for them. But you do have to have a bachelor's degree successfully completed. And as Jen mentioned, 2 years of professional work experience. And like she said, also, it does not have to be in public health. This program is very interdisciplinary, but it's crucial that you have that professional experience. And typically that means full-time work. So part-time, not always going to cut it. 3 letters of recommendation. And these are really important. The committee reads through these very closely. They want to hear what those closest to you have to say about you and your work ethic and some of your great qualities and characteristics. So you can choose a combination of academic and professional letters of recommendation, or if it's more relevant for you and you've been out of school for a long time, go with all professional. Just know that these people need to speak very loudly on your behalf and say some very nice things about you so that the committee's impressed by you as an individual. Personal statement. This is a chance for you to share with the committee a little bit more about who you are, to show them the passion that you have for public health and what it is that you want to achieve in this particular field of study. Typically speaking, I do get asked this question a lot. Keep it somewhere between, say, 750 and 1,000 words. Just make sure you're expressing yourself enough, but do not overwhelm the committee with a very long personal statement, because again, they're reading it and they're reading a whole bunch of them. So impress them in a compressed time frame. Let's see. Right now, I know this says official transcripts. We actually can accept your unofficial transcripts while you're applying. You will have to provide official transcripts if you are admitted into the program prior to actually starting. So the cool thing is unofficials a little bit easier for people to get. Right now, so it says application fee. The application for our program is $100. We actually still have a few days left before the priority deadline, which is Friday the 15th, September 15th. The application fee has been waived so graciously by the committee. Plenty of time to get your application submitted. I want you to know that it's doable. But the final deadline, as Sparky had pointed out, is that October 15th is the final date we'll accept applications for spring. I do want to put in a little plug. I know we are talking about spring, but I also want to say thank you to the committee for opening up a summer start and a fall start next year. So we have 3 available start dates next year that we're very excited about. So if you're forward thinking, maybe you're still in your senior year and, you know, aren't ready to apply, that's okay. We are going to be ready for you when you are ready to start moving. So there's a link to the application. I definitely a few things needed for international applicants. This is where myself, Katie, and Kristen, yes, we all start with K's here in the enrollment team for this program. This is where we're going to be very beneficial for you. So when we call, please answer or give us a call back so that we can help assist you with maybe your more unique circumstances. But the process honestly is very streamlined, very efficient. As soon as everything's in, it goes right over to committee. So we do offer rolling admissions. We're not waiting to a particular deadline to be able to send a whole group of applicants. You will be sent over as soon as you have a completed application.
All right.
Thanks, Bucky.
No, thank you, Kim. Appreciate all that. And again, just to repeat, I know there's a question in the chat about advantage of submitting the application by the priority deadline. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But one of them is that, yes, by applying by that September 15th deadline, you can have your application fee waived. So that's a big advantage right there. Matt, I know you get a lot of questions about letters of recommendation and a personal statement. What should be in them? What makes them stand out? So what's from your perspective? How would you best answer it? How can you make those letters of recommendation and that personal statement really stand out to a committee?
Thank you so much, Sparky. First and foremost, I just want to say how impressed I am with everybody's guilty pleasures. I don't think there's a single pleasurable thing that I do that I don't feel guilty for. Like, I literally eat like a carny. I had about 3 bowls of Cinnamon Toast Crunch before this event. I'm not even lying. I'm a 41-year-old that plays video games. I watch trash Bravo television, and I'm currently learning the choreography for Michael Jackson's Thriller. So I'm not proud of any of that. And I just want to say that I'm glad that I'm with good company here. But yeah, to answer your question, personal statement, put the personal in personal statement, right? We get your resume, we have your CV, we have your transcripts, so we can see your academic accomplishments, we can see your professional accomplishments, and you can definitely highlight those in your personal statement. And I'm not saying like make it a narrative. Don't say I was born on a cold November morning on a Tennessee day, like just. You don't have to go that far, but make it personal. Like, what's unique about you? The culture here at Brown is really cool. We really want you to be your complete authentic self, because that's the way you're going to thrive academically, professionally, and personally. So we really believe that. I mean, that's what brought Hannah back, right? Hannah came back for the culture, and so we're really proud of that. So be yourself. It's much more about like how, if we're good enough for you than it is if you're good enough for us. So don't worry too much of like, oh, am I going to get accepted to Brown? It's much more when the admissions committees are looking at your application materials, it's, hey, do we have the resources? Can we fulfill this student's dreams and the student's goals? Do we have the connections? Do we have the curriculum that fits with what the student wants? So, you know, be yourself, relax, it's all good. Put your best foot forward, and the rest will fall into place as it will.
Yeah, that's great. And Jen, I know you're on the committee, so you're reading a whole bunch of these. And so what else would you add in terms of how to make these personal and really make an impression, a positive impression on the committee?
No, I agree with all my colleagues here, Kim and Matt. I make the personal. Letters of rec, and I've said this before, make sure you know who's writing that, like you really know who's writing that letter of rec. Unfortunately, we've seen letter of recs where it's like, I don't know, 2 sentences long, and it's unfortunate, right? Because we really want to get to know you, and that's just another way, a holistic way for us to really think through and see, are you the right fit and for us? And also just to say, just to restate what Matt has said, is that we also have to be the right program for you, right? And so really make sure that you know we're a generalist program. I've been seeing some of the questions. We're a generalist program, so we bring all the foundational courses to the program in addition to leadership and communications, right? And so make sure that that's what you're really interested in if you look through our courses. Hannah is also on the admissions committee. I'd love for her to add her 2 cents on you know, what we look for in applications.
Yeah, thanks, Jen. And I had just raised my hand just to chime in. One thing that came to my mind was that, you know, sometimes when we're reviewing applications, you know, of course we look at grades, but I just wanted to make a note that, you know, not everyone did perfect all throughout college. Like, of course, there could be some bad grades in there. And, you know, what we look for, if there are some lower grades, you know, especially if it was more recently, there's some ways to, you know, make up for that in some ways in your application. Like if you've taken any coursework after college or any post-bac courses, that can really look positively on your application. If you were someone who had lower grades in college, or if you've taken like an independent course on R or something like that to show you have some quantitative skills, if you know maybe you did not as well in some quantitative courses in college. You know, also I don't know who the participants are here, but you know, sometimes there's applicants who, you know, went to college a long time ago. And, you know, when I'm reviewing a transcript, I'm like, okay, well, you know, is this C or D from 1985 really that important? Like, I don't know. Like, and so I think sometimes just addressing that in the personal statement or somewhere else, just making it clear, you know, that whether you have certain skills or knowledge from your work experience, you've taken more classes, or why you think you are prepared, if you do feel like on your application, in your transcripts, maybe there's some weak spots there.
Yeah, I love what Hannah, so exactly. So Hannah, what Hannah said is, we understand, you know, you may not have a perfect GPA or perfect act. We didn't, I mean, let's be clear, we all didn't either. But if you show a trajectory where it's like maybe your first year of college you didn't do so well, but then by your junior or senior year you did, we take that into account. We look at that. We do a holistic review. So we're not just looking at GPA, we're looking at your work experience, we're reading your personal statement, we're reading the letters of rec, and really reading through, like, why do you want to come to Brown? Why now? Why the online program, right? Like, we really want to hear why this is a good fit for you. In terms of, I also wanted just to bring up again, like if you do have your insecure about your GPA or what have you, we've had applicants write an addendum and state, well, maybe you went through something. Maybe you went through a particular family issue or something really devastating happened to you during that time. Feel free to tell us. We'll read it. So I wanted to put that out there too. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your perspective on that. So we've got a little less than 10 minutes before the top of the hour. So we want to make sure that we've got time for Q&A. I just wanted to make a plug for our next webinar coming up on October 3rd. You heard Jen about, tell us why Brown, why online, why now. Well, we're going to answer those questions from our perspective coming up in that next webinar on October 3rd. And so we hope that you will join us there. So let's transition to the live Q&A. The Q&A has been really active. We really appreciate the questions that are there. If you joined us a little bit late, that's perfectly fine. Just tap or click that Q&A icon on your screen and send us a question. I know there's been a lot of questions that have been answered already. And Michael, I know you're in the midst of answering this one right now, but I think it's a question that a lot of people have. How do I do this while working full time and taking classes? Yes, it's an asynchronous program, but it's still okay. I'm a student and I'm an employee and I'm a parent or a family member. How do I keep everything together? So Michael, I know you're typing. And so if you want to just talk about what you're typing or just getting other perspectives on, what makes it possible for someone to balance, college life with the rest of their life and everything else that they have going on? What perspectives does this group have to help answer that?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate just what I put into the chat here. I realized I was slacking when it came to answering questions there. And others can chime in as well, but I understand that the vast majority of our students are working full time, and it is a challenge, but they're doing it, and we're here to support you. And there's a lot of students who are, there's different avenues, Slack groups and others that students use to support each other. I think we too, as faculty, understand that students have other commitments in their lives, and we recognize that the kind of flexibility of this program draws in people who are working full time and have other commitments. So I think that's something that we're mindful of. I don't want to downplay the challenges, but it is something that students do, and it's something that we want to be supportive of you as you try to balance, life and work and school and all sorts of other commitments that you have.
Yeah, I'll add to what Mike, all that is true. We really try to be flexible. Let me give you a concrete example. We have a student that just is planning to he's going to be deployed to Maui, Hawaii. We all know what happened in Maui over a month ago, and he works for the Red Cross in New York. And so he needed an extension for 2 weeks. And Mike, no problem. Professor Harvey gave that extension. This person is doing public health. Of course, we're going to make that exception. Of course, we're going to give that student an extension. We even highlighted this person on our Instagram account because we really we think it's a strength that you're working professionals. We think we want to highlight you and what you're doing now as you're balancing this program. So there was another webinar, and I think you can find it on YouTube, where we actually have 3 or 4 students that talk about how they balance work and this program. So feel free to look into that too.
Yep, check out our Brown School of Public Health YouTube page, and we've got other webinars with other students and other faculty perspectives. That's great. I see there's an open question in the Q&A that, again, I think is one that a lot of students have. How do we go about applying for scholarships or funding, financial aid, that sort of thing, making sure that we can afford, that folks can afford this program once they're admitted? I know we talked about the affordability piece. So just opening it up to this group in terms of, what recommendations would you make in terms of how that financial aid process work? I know for scholarships, anyone who's admitted is automatically considered for scholarship. There's no other application, right? I'm seeing a lot of head nods here. Right. So what else should students know about financial aid? What other avenues there might be out there in addition to those merit-based scholarships that are available?
Matt, could you take that particular
Yeah, absolutely. What I like, so obviously you have the merit-based scholarship, right? But there's a lot of external scholarships that you can apply to as well. I'll go ahead and put the this will just be to the hosts and panelists. So let me see if I can share the link some other way, but there's a link to the ASPPH where they have outside scholarship and fellowship opportunities, which are really, really, really great. And then of course, outside of that, you have, federal financial aid and then private loans. one of these things is like private loans aren't great. They have high interest rates typically. Brown University as a whole has a pretty good debt to income ratio. I think we're third on the list. This is probably not the good time to mention this, but Harvard's #1 on the list. So a Harvard plug during a Brown University information session is probably not the smartest thing to do in the world, but yeah, they have a really great income to debt ratio. The thing is, it's like you want to make sure that financially it's a good fit for you and it works for you. You have a lot of options in public health of where you can work, like government, consulting, healthcare, academia, and not all public health positions pay a lot. Really, you're going into public health because you want to make the world a better place, right? There's other benefits to that. So we don't want you to go into a ton of debt just to go into a program. So you're going to have to make an informed decision based on all the factors involved. But I would definitely encourage you to apply just to see what you can get in your merit scholarship, and then look at external funding as well.
Fantastic. Excellent, Matt. Thank you so much. Another question you talked about, okay, people are doing this. Yes, there's a that altruistic element to it in terms of wanting to better people's lives. Ultimately, a lot of that is through what people do professionally. And so there's a question in the chat talks about, how do you support students in finding the right position before and after graduation? I know there's a practicum element involved, and some of that can relate to that professional placement. But yeah, what sort of resources are available for online MPH students as they're looking to take that next step in their career?
So we have a career office particularly just at the School of Public Health that just focuses on our public health students. It's run by Assistant Dean Sean Kelly. And so he hosts monthly webinars on various job opportunities. We actually in our online MPH are hosting a webinar with him to talk about the job opportunities after graduation. I'm part of I help with the career services. I've hosted webinars where maybe grad students want to go on to med school, or maybe they want to develop a healthcare startup. So we bring in alum from our program to talk about how they did it. So former MPH students who are now in med school, or who now run a company, or we bring in speakers from government offices, how they got into that position. So again, I would encourage you to look through our website, see all the resources available to you, see the courses that we provide, the faculty that are part of the School of Public Health, and really make that determination of is this the right program for me? Are those the faculty I want to learn from? Are the careers that they have, the careers, when you look at our career services webpage, are those the kind of careers you're interested in learning more about? Again, just make that educated decision around, is this the right program?
Right. Fantastic. Excellent. So I also see a question from Robert. Speaking of courses, you talked about those courses. Could we talk a little bit about, he asked about course layout, length of time, practicum, that sort of thing. So could we talk a little bit about the course format, kind of what that looks like and how students will progress through the program?
So sure. So full-time, if you come to our program full-time, that equates to 2 courses. Right. So Mike's teaching right now, Hannah's teaching. So you'd be taking one of their courses. Part-time is 1 course, right? And so, and you could try 1 course and see if it's manageable, and then move on to take on 2 courses. So we would be able to develop a custom plan of study for you that would work best for you. So just know you have those options, full-time and part-time. You do have a practicum. We are a fully accredited MPH program, and part of that is the requirement of a practicum. So 145-hour practicum is required of you to complete, but also it's an opportunity for you to think about, okay, what in public health do I want to do? And maybe I can get an internship in that space and really figure out, is that the type of job I want to do in the future? So we do have a field placement coordinator, a full-time field placement coordinator that will help guide you, help you land that internship, that practicum. Again, that's 145 hours. So that can take you about 3 months if you really are focused on if you're able to dedicate maybe 15 to 20 hours a week, but you have up to the semester before you graduate to finish that practicum.
Mm-hmm. All right. Fantastic. I know we're at the top of the hour, so just really quick, there's been a lot of questions about, hey, if we're nearby, can we come on campus? Can we see folks? And I think the answers have been yes. If you're in the neighborhood, you're a Brown student, please come to campus. We'd love to visit and meet with you. And then as far as the application, I think the last question that I think we have time for, when do students know whether they've been selected for those merit-based scholarships? At what point of the process does that happen relative to completing their application?
So you should have been notified if you got a scholarship when you receive your acceptance letter. But if you have further questions about, again, about what other opportunities, feel free to reach out to me or to Matt, and we can help guide you on some other options.
Right. Fantastic. So we've come to time. Thanks so much for our Brown guests with us today. And thanks to all of you for joining us and taking some time out of your day. So just a quick reminder. So the final application deadline for spring 2024 cohort is October 15th, with classes starting January 24th. Kim mentioned that the priority application deadline is this week, September 15th. And so that's priority access for scholarship consideration, as well as for having your application fee waived. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Our phone number is 888-584-5166, or you can send us an email at brownenrollmentretention@mph.online.brown.edu. And again, we've got another one of these webinars coming up in a few weeks on October 3rd. And so we hope to see you there as well. So thanks again to our panelists, to all of you for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of your day and week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.